So the key to starting a good fire is to start with kindling, make a small fire, and then add the bigger pieces of wood after that. You want to start, I try to keep some lint up here because it's really good to get a fire started. Some small pieces of kindling, and then you can add the bigger pieces of tinder. Once that's established, then you can add the larger pieces of firewood. One key for having a good fire is you want the air combustion control lever all the way to the right to allow the maximum amount of air so that the draft can start going up the chimney. And this house is a very tightly built house, so it may be necessary to crack a window so there's plenty of combustion air to get the draft going up the chimney. Once the tinder fire is established, you can go ahead and start adding some of the pieces of actual firewood. I would recommend starting with the smallest pieces first. And if you would like to use tongs so that if the flame's too hot to use your hand, tongs are available to place the firewood in. Once the first small few pieces of firewood are established, I like to go ahead and add a couple of more larger pieces on and then start slowly closing the door, and that will accelerate the fire. Building a fire is right now it looks like the fire is roaring and it's good to go, and I could go ahead and shut the door completely. However, fire would probably die out because it would be starved for oxygen. So it's best to leave the door slightly ajar like this until the fire is well established. An additional consideration to keep in mind is you don't want to walk away and start focusing on something else right here, because the fire will begin to roar shortly, and if the door isn't completely shut, flames and smoke will be coming out into the house. So once the fire appears to be established like this one, it's a good idea to go ahead and close the door to keep the flames and smoke inside the fireplace. If you look from this angle, there's a lever that you turn in and then rotate approximately 45 degrees. This seals the fireplace completely shut, so there's no interaction with the air in there and the air inside the house. Once you do that, you'll notice that the fire is going to die down a little bit because it's suddenly not getting as much air. And you just need to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't die out completely. Presuming it doesn't, like I think this one is well established, you'll then need to use the combustion air control lever to moderate how much air is going in. For right now, we want to leave that lever all the way to the right. Presuming that this fire does well and goes ahead and increases. As it gets bigger and more robust, you want to start moving it to the left to dampen it down. If you don't dampen it down and the fire is raging inside, that is a pretty significant hazard. It could cause a chimney fire. One of the most important factors regarding building a fire and doing it safely in this RSF fireplace is not putting too many pieces of wood in the fireplace at one time. If you put too many pieces of wood, it can overheat and cause significant damage to the fireplace, the chimney, and it can cause a chimney fire. So typically you only want to have about 3 or 4 pieces of actual firewood. Once those burn down and are no longer significant, then you can add 2 to 3 pieces at a time, but no more than that. So you can see the flames are starting to get pretty robust and increase, and this is definitely the right time to decrease the air combustion control lever. You want to move it to the left anywhere from 1 inch to maybe probably 1.5 inches, and that'll cause those flames to decrease. You don't want to close it all the way shut because that will starve the fire for air, and you want to do it incrementally, not too much at one time. When you do this, that is going to extend the life of the fire exponentially, and it's actually going to cause the heat produced from the fire to come out into the room. So as the fire starts to die down and it's time to add a couple of more sticks of firewood, you want to very, very slowly open the door to the fireplace. I cannot overemphasize very slowly. If you open it quickly, smoke is going to pour out and come into the room, and it's not going to be pleasant. So when you open it, you want to move at a snail's pace. And even this slowly, I just saw a little bit of smoke come out. I opened it just enough to put another piece of wood in. You can add 2 to 3 pieces. Definitely don't need to add more than 3 pieces because again it can cause the fireplace to overfire and damage it. When you close it, you need to be slow, not nearly as slow as when opening it. And then you can adjust your damper as need be. Most of the time, unless you let it burn all the way down, you can leave the damper where it currently was. Sometimes you need to increase it a little bit just to get the new wood going. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy using the fireplace.